Hello, this is Jason with LMGI, continuing our SolidEdge fundamentals course. We're going to now talk about rounding a little bit. Rounding's available in synchronous and ordered mode, of course. I'm going to actually go ahead and delete a round that I did a moment ago. It usually isn't a big deal to delete a round. It just needs to be able to heal the wound that was left. You want to really notice your selection options here. You can choose face. You can then switch back to edge corner, hold your shift key down and deselect an edge, and then I just right clicked to accept. And come down here and pick this. Maybe I'll go a little smaller. I just hit tab. Tab's your friend in synchronous mode. It allows you to actually, throughout SolidEdge in general, tab is a good thing to try when you're entering in values. Enter sometimes moves you ahead a little sooner than you would have liked. So there we go. So that's a round. I kind of did that all in one step, you'll notice. So if I select it in Pathfinder, it's all one set of faces. And the editing experience, now because I picked it in Pathfinder, I essentially picked all the faces. So when I use this first button, it's pretty much based on the original select set, so it's going to edit all the faces all at once. But if we escape out of this, so nothing's selected, and just tap one face and then use my editor. Now this first button, you see, is just going to do the single face, or as few as possible. Sometimes it needs to do a little bit more than you would think in order to be successful. But that's how you can edit an individual. And the second button, of course, would edit the entire feature. And then this third button would find all the rounds that were originally 3 millimeters on the entire model. So we'll just accept that. And then the solution that you get in where rounds interact with each other in ordered mode, you would drag them around in the tree to resequence. In synchronous mode, we don't have that, so they provided this nice, I'm just going to tap the space bar so I can pick more than one, and then I'm going to right click and reorder round. So that will give you the other solution. So right click, reorder rounds. Saves you from deleting and redoing, just because that was the sequence that you wanted. You also want to be aware that there are some advanced options here in the parameters. So this is a good example. So notice the behavior here. I'm just rolling my mouse. Sometimes it falls out of the field. So then if I go up here and I choose something like roll along, you see how that maintains that nice linear edge on that face that's adjacent to it. You don't always get an opportunity to use these options. Sometimes they don't do anything, depending on whether there's interaction or not with surrounding faces, but something to be aware of. Might save you some extra work. Sometimes you try to delete a round and you pick a face and you hit delete and you don't get the results you want. Usually with deleting, you pick more or less. So if I wanted to completely remove that, I would delete that by selecting it from Pathfinder. Now if we switch to ordered, you'll see the workflow is pretty close. And I might encourage you to do your rounds in ordered if you're thinking about adding these minute little break edges, if there was a lot of them on the model. So if you were going to do like a 1 millimeter and you were going to do all all fillets or all rounds. So, you know, if this were a casting, this is the kind of thing you might want to do in ordered, because when you start to edit your synchronous body, these will kind of gracefully fall out if they fail, and then you can go fix them up later, versus if you did them in synchronous mode, it will stop the entire edit. So that's something to consider. And there is another little difference with the ordered. If I do edge corner, you can do multiple radius values within the one command. So if I choose this and do a 5 and hit tab and accept, I can then go on here and do a 2 and a 2 and accept. Maybe switch to a chain. That's not going to work, so I'm going to shift click out of that. I don't know what might be a good example. That's probably not a bad one. So you can have multiple values all within one command. That's a benefit to ordered. But you have a lot of the same options. These options are a little more advanced, like a variable radius. They're in synchronous as well, though when you do get into these more advanced types of rounds, you might find they're a little nicer to do in ordered mode, because if I do this in synchronous, I'll end up with a patch, and it won't really be editable via parameters. It'll be like a B-spline face. You'll have to delete it to change the size. But if you switch back to synchronous mode, you'll see when you do a blend, that's where they put the variable. So it's when you do the blend command. So that's just a little bit about rounding. Maybe we'll do a little bit more later.